The day of the drones. Australia Post wants to deliver parcels by drone. Walmart advertised this week that it has a store within 5 miles of 70% of Americans and wants to service them with drones. So they're taking over, invading airspace and not to mention backyard privacy. Mr. Future, Morris Miselowski, is my studio guest. Morris, good evening.
Good evening, Derryn.
Australia Post, that was announced on the weekend, they've been experimenting with 2 of these drones. They think they're going to do this. Travelling, I think it was at 120 metres up in the air at 75 k's an hour. Is this feasible?
It's feasible, but I don't think it's all that practical yet. It actually is based on something that was done by the Swiss Post earlier this year, and they're also trialling it. So lots of courier companies, lots of postal companies are all having a go at it. The reality is most probably 5-10 years from now, we'll see some letters, some packages most probably delivered by it. But en masse, I'm not sure that we're going to see it overnight.
Switzerland's a much smaller proposition than Australia. Now, they're saying 2 kilogram packages, and then eventually they could go for a 10 kilogram box. But how economic would it be?
It really depends on the distance and where they fly from and where they land to. The reality is most probably more economical than putting a postie on a bicycle or a postie inside of a truck to get them there. And where Australia Post is talking about are the remote regions that are really difficult for them to get to now.
Yeah, but what if they, I'm thinking ahead, the drone picks up the parcel, delivers it to your house, you're not home, or just drops it on the doorstep and takes off? Does the drone go home again?
Yes, it does. It returns. So it returns back to base and goes and picks up another parcel and does it all over again. There are some interesting ways it can do it. There's lots of different technology and there's no winner at this stage. There's a drone that literally lands and then releases the package onto the doorstep wherever it's told to leave it and then flies off. There's another one that uses a tether rope and stays up in the sky and it actually drops the parcel with a tether rope down to the ground and leaves it where it's supposed to be.
And the tether unclips and
unclips, exactly. It goes back up again.
Now, Walmart, I mentioned in my introduction, Walmart saying they could deliver anywhere, anytime. They have this amazingly automated warehouse. But would they be a possibility?
They're all possibilities. The reality at this stage is that they can't fly in the airspace. There are all sorts of regulations which should be there. You can't fly near aeroplanes, you can't fly near some tall buildings, you can only go up so high, you can only carry so much. So in America, like everywhere else, they're now scrambling to figure out what the laws and legislation should be around it. It makes sense in theory. In practice, it's going to take us a little while to
I saw recently they threatened to scramble some US planes at JFK Airport because the military said somebody had invaded a mysterious drone, large one, had invaded US airspace. Now, if we have something, Australia Post and Walmart, they're all flying thousands, and Pizza Hut flying thousands of drones, how the hell are you going to control airspace?
Well, you're not, and that's the problem. At this stage, most legislation around the world doesn't allow drones to fly within 5 kilometres, or the equivalent in miles, of an airport. It also doesn't allow drones to fly up more than about 1 kilometre into the sky. So there are lots of things which are supposed to happen, but there's no legislation and there's no laws. And then you've got the worst part of it is many drones are recreational. They're things you and I can go and buy in the local store. And then we have the ones that are commercial, which are the Walmart ones. So you've got 2 different sets.
Well, move back to the personal thing. People can buy them as toys, and I suppose you could argue, well, it's not much different than a model plane, except it can go further, I can control it probably better, and be more invasive with it. I mean, what about people lying in their backyard nude sunbathing, up comes the neighbour's drone? It's not just peering over the fence. The neighbour could come, they could have a camera on it and do everything.
And we've seen that, and we've also seen it into apartment blocks as well. So again, what's happening is that these things are more pervasive than the old model aeroplane because more people will have them. This year in America for Christmas, apparently, they expect to sell 1 million drones. In Australia this year, we think we'll sell somewhere around 60,000 drones. And they will be the ones that you and I can have.
What sort of money are we talking?
Really depends on what you want. You can get a drone for as little as $80 or $90, and you can go up to a couple of thousand. A $500-600 drone is not a bad one. It'll get you a lot of fun.
And would you have a camera on it?
You can. So some of those will have cameras.
Like a GoPro or something like that?
Yeah, absolutely. There's actually a very nice one you can get which connects up to your Bluetooth on your mobile phone. And you put it up in the air and it follows you. It actually takes footage. And you get these wonderful panoramic views of you riding a bike or running or doing other things.
The ultimate selfie of you, here I am doing this or doing that.
Absolutely.
And it's like a pet dog. It'll follow you around on your bicycle.
Absolutely follows you around. You can tell it how far back to head. It does all kinds of 360 degrees. That's some really interesting footage.
So on a more sinister note, we've seen the drone aircraft and the stealth aircraft in war, but obviously with more and more technology, they'll be able to use small drones to pinpoint for assassinations and things like that?
It can be done already, and the drones that would do it would be already there. There are drones that you can put into a war space and it can fire on people with great accuracy. So that's there already. And that's the other side of it as well, drones used by governments.
Because the drones we're talking about at that level, they are, we've seen pictures of, they're the size of a plane, and so they're big ones. But I'm talking about, are they using like small drones the size of a rubbish tin lid sort of thing, and using those as weapons?
Yes. Well, using them as weapons, but also using them for reconnaissance, to be able to get into spaces they might not otherwise be able to be able to go ahead of soldiers and scout out on their behalf. Those sorts of things exist now and are used in warfare.
All right, what about the other area now about, I see Facebook, and I was reading the other day about Google, where they're going to put them, they're going to somehow put them up into space and then sometimes use balloons as well for communications.
So Facebook and Google has really a bob each way. They want to use it for commercial purposes to deliver, but also they bought an aeronautics company last year, and as part of that they ended up with a patent for a drone, and the patent for that is similar to Facebook's application, and that is to use the drone to provide internet in regional areas where it may otherwise not be available. So they want to put it up and make it available to developing nations, war-torn nations, to make sure that they have internet access.
But how would the drone stay there? I mean...
So the Facebook one's actually an interesting one. What it does, it's put up into space, much like the cartoon movie called Up, where they put the house on and they put a whole lot of balloons on it and the house went up.
Right.
That one works the same way. It's sent up into the air by helium balloons, and it's kept up in the air for 90 days, 3 months, by solar, and it flies a 5-kilometre radius, literally just keeps going around and around 5 kilometres for 3 months, then comes back
so
down
it's up there and it's just beaming down and picking up anything you want from down there?
Yes, it's actually sending down the microwave signal for that particular internet to be covered. And the Google one doesn't work on the same basis but has the same intent, to provide internet to a regional or developing nation.
Yeah, because in the future, surely you'll have to register. What, you have to register drones? I mean, governments will have to much say to you, look, like you register your car or whatever.
This is the big debate that's happening in America at the moment. America has come to the realisation and put a great hurry on it. By the end of November, by the end of this month, they want to have legislation in place that will make registering drones absolutely mandated. The problem is they most probably will not be able to do it for recreational. They must probably only be able to achieve it for the commercial ones, because you can't register 1 million drones. They're too small, too inconsequential. They're in the hands of kids and other people. So we're still going to have a great number of them that most probably will never be registered and usable, as you said, to spy on people, to do all kinds of things.
Yeah, so the Americans can't register guns. They're not going to be registering drones, are they?
But we have the same issue here in Australia, and there are different laws around the world. Australia, a drone up to about 2 kilos. In other words, it weighs plus whatever it carries is no more than 2 kilos. It's considered to be recreational. Above that, most probably, and this is a most probably, becomes a commercial drone.
Vehicle.
But that again is not absolute black and white. It's more like grey, and we need to come to terms with it too. That's one of the great issues for us moving forward, that we've got a lot of this technology. We've got drones, we've also got autonomous cars coming in, we've got all these things that we most probably will have, but no legislation yet to counter them.
Yeah, well, it's always science is ahead of the law. Okay, that's my guest, Mr. Future, Maurice Miselowski.